Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of SacTown Movie Buffs. I'm Kier, and this is Jason. And today we're back with the second half of our top 10 films of 2005. So this is part two. Obviously, if you missed the first half of the show, we definitely urge you to go check that out. That was our number 10 through number 6. Part two is going to be our number 5 through number 1, with some honorable mentions, and then you'll want to stick around for the very end because we also will be doing our challenge films for each other for 2006. So you definitely want to stick around for that. Well, without further ado, we got a lot of films to cover, so I say we just get right into it, man.
All right, cool.
Let's start with your number 5 film of 2005.
All right, my number 5, we already talked about a little bit in the previous show because it was in the bottom half of your top 10. And that is
probably where it belongs.
Yeah, that is Hustle and Flow. So just a really good character-driven drama starring Terrence Howard as a pimp who wants to be a rapper. It sounds like it should be a comedy or something, and it is funny, but it's actually a really good character-driven drama. It does have some humor in it. I think Anthony Anderson is really good in it. DJ Qualls, who doesn't get enough work, from Road Trip, he's really good in it. But yeah, it's the first and only time so far, anyway, that like a hip hop song won the best song at the Oscars, which I think is pretty cool. So hopefully that'll happen again sometime in the future.
Didn't Lose Yourself win an Oscar also? The Eminem song?
Maybe it did. I don't know.
I thought it did. I
hate Eminem, so I don't. I don't hate Eminem. I hate Eminem, but he's talented.
Yeah,
I can reconcile the two things barely.
Yeah.
I can't stand him as a person, but he's a genius artist. What can I say?
I find myself not listening to his music that much anymore.
Really, it's just the first 2 albums, really.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I don't. When I'm like looking for some, and I love hip hop, I love rap. When I'm looking for something, I typically don't gravitate towards when his albums come out. I always listen to them, and I say, oh, this is great. And then 6 months down the road, they just end up on the shelf somewhere, or they're out of my playlist or whatever, and I just don't listen to them anymore. So
yeah,
that's just me. So
he's super talented, but I just don't like him.
Understood.
Yeah.
Well, that's another story for another day. But great choice for your number 5. Obviously, it was in my top 10 as well. And, like I said, these are our top 10 films. So, like I said, anything, and even our honorable mentions, anything that's in this list is if I put it number 8 and he's got it number 5, it's a very small degree of separation there. So, yeah, definitely a great choice. So, number 5 for me is going to be Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So yeah, I just love that film. It's a great action film, great action comedy. I like the story. I just like the concept of it. Like two basically assassins, spies that are living together that don't know that they're both spies and assassins. I've seen it done the other way with like True Lies, where the husband's an assassin or a spy, and the wife doesn't know. But this is one of those unique ones where they're both assassins and they don't know that either one of them are what they do. So they both lie about their jobs. There's a lot of great action. You could tell the chemistry was hot because after the film he left his wife. Brad Pitt left his wife. So you know the chemistry's there, baby. It's happening.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, no, just a really fun film. One that I just watched a couple nights ago. Just always really fun. I always have a good time watching it. So that's my number 5, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Cool.
You want?
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen it that one time 15 years ago. I remember thinking it was okay, pretty good. Yeah, I just never went back to it, man. Sorry.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's all right. So it's not. I didn't dislike it.
I'm sure I'll feel the same way about some films on your list as well. So
whatever.
Number 4, sir.
All right, number 4 for me. I don't know if you've seen this one. Is a movie called Cachet. So
I want to say you showed this one to me.
No, I don't think so. You may have watched it on your own, but I don't remember showing it to you. But maybe. I don't know. It's 15 years ago. But this is a movie by the Austrian filmmaker Michael Haneke. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but he is a filmmaker who's known for some pretty extreme kind of movies like Funny Games, the original version, and the remake actually of Funny Games, and several other movies that are not exactly compassionate. I would say that, but this movie is no different, really. It's a pretty disturbing movie. It's not quite as in-your-face disturbing as Funny Games, but it is basically like it's about a married couple that wake up and keep finding mysterious videotapes in packages on their front doorstep. And they don't know who's putting them there. They don't know what the image on the videotape means, but obviously it's like a mystery and it kind of unravels bit by bit. So, but I don't want anybody to watch this thinking it's like I mean, it is a thriller, but if you're watching this expecting to have a nice, tidy, wrapped up answer to the mystery, you'll be disappointed, because it's definitely one of those movies that leaves things very ambiguous, even though it does reveal layers of the mystery gradually. But it's a great movie. I just watched it a few years ago and it holds up absolutely. But it is, and it definitely has some shocking things in it, although don't watch it expecting it to be like a bloodbath or anything like that. But it's a really great thriller. It's a great drama from one of my favorite filmmakers who hasn't made anything in a while. So I wish he'd get back there. So yeah, my number 4 is Cachet.
Cool. Yeah, I've heard of it. I want to say that I've seen maybe bits and pieces of it. I don't know. I'm not for sure. So definitely would be one I would have to revisit because I don't remember a whole lot. But you describing it, some of the things did sound familiar to me. So I probably just have to go back and revisit at some point. So yeah, cool, great choice.
Thank you.
So my number 4 is going to be another very violent film, which is going to be Sin City. This movie just got stars upon stars upon stars. So obviously directed by Robert Rodriguez and Frank Miller. Quentin Tarantino also assisted in some directing on this one as well. But I mean, it's got, Bruce Willis, Elijah Wood, Mickey Rourke, Clive Owen, Brittany Murphy, Benicio del Toro, Jessica Alba. I mean, there's just stars upon stars in this film. It's a really dark and seedy film from the comics, basically. Another superhero movie film that you might actually like, because this is kind of a superhero movie, also kind of, or comic book movie, I should say. So they're not really heroes in this one. This one, I think everybody in this one's kind of flawed. So, but it's just one of those really seedy films. It's kind of a murder mystery investigation, kind of, if you will, and it's got just a lot of different elements. It's kind of like multiple stories all rolled into one, also. So, but just a really dark, seedy film. Most people have probably seen Sin City, but if you haven't, definitely urge you to check it out. It's got a lot of good violence, if you like that kind of stuff like I do. A lot of good action. It's shot kind of like in like this really retro, kind of like black and white, grainy kind of color. The imagery is just amazing in it, with the color and the way that it's shot. So definitely one that highly recommend you check out. But that is my number 4, Sin City.
Yeah, I love Sin City. I definitely have nothing against comic books, and I think it does a really cool job of kind of emulating the look of a graphic novel, and it's very film noir also at the same time. But yeah, I love that movie. It's not in my top 10, but it's my runner-up stack for sure. But yeah, it's cool. I think I was a little bit disappointed the first time I saw it. I don't know what I was expecting, but it's one of those that the more I watch it over the years, the more I enjoy it. So yeah, it's a really good movie. Like you said, 2005 was a big year for really violent movies, and there's a lot of blood in Sin City, that's for sure. So yeah,
cool. For sure. Cool. Number 3, you're going to recognize because it is the one that I assigned you for this year. My number 3 for 2005 is Broken Flowers. So I'm a big Jim Jarmusch fan. I've liked almost every movie he's directed, and this would be way up there. It stars Bill Murray as a lifelong bachelor who basically finds out, gets an anonymous letter in the mail that he fathered a son, but he doesn't know who the son is or who the mother of the son was. So he goes back
to visit several of his prior lovers, I guess you could say, to try to find out who sent him that letter, who had a son by him. And it's not really much of a spoiler to know that it leaves a lot of that ambiguous. It's not, it doesn't tie up everything with a neat bow, but it's a really interesting journey. And I think it's one of, it's kind of cool that this came just like a couple of years after Lost in Translation, because I think those are two of his best performances, and the performances where he was, had to stretch a little bit, not literally, but figuratively, you know what I mean? Because he's usually, a comedic actor, but those two definitely had him. I think Broken Flowers is probably the most like emotive you're ever going to see Bill Murray, which is still not very emotive, but it's for him, it was out of his comfort zone a little bit, I felt like, even though he's still very Bill Murray in that movie. But yeah, I think it's a really funny movie. It's a really moving in a lot of ways, but it's still got that kind of dry, deadpan Jim Jarmusch thing going on. But yeah, I really enjoyed that movie a lot. I think it's great. So that's my number 3, Broken Flowers.
Cool stuff. Yeah. So yeah, that was my challenge film for 2005. Touched on it in the previous show. Yeah, I liked it also. It didn't make my top 10 or anything. But I don't know. It'd be pretty hard for me to watch a film that you recommend that I would instantly throw in my top 10 anyways. You know what I mean? Just time would have to pass for that to happen. And
it'll happen. It'll happen. You have 15 more chances. 15 more chances.
You'd probably have a better shot of something that you recommended to me for like 2018 or 19. This is a little bit more fresh, a little bit more recent versus 15 years ago. You know what I mean? Me to watch something and be like, that's instantly in my top 10 now. You know what I mean? I just, it'd be pretty hard to break that, especially with all the honorable mentions and things of that nature. But no, it was a good film. I did enjoy it. So cool. Good choice. My number 3 is a very weird, kind of a quirky film, but knowing who the star is, it's kind of expected. And that is going to be The Weatherman, which stars Nicolas Cage. It's like a dry comedy, basically. So it is funny, but it's a very dry, dark comedy. And he literally is a weatherman. He's kind of in a rut. He's got a father that's sick. He's got a son that he's doesn't get to see as often as he likes, kind of thing. And it's just I don't know, it's just a really good, just kind of like dry comedy, dry humor, if you will. It's very, very funny in parts. It's very emotional and real in parts. But just one that I haven't seen in many years, but one that I've always enjoyed and definitely do love. So that is my number 3, The Weatherman.
Cool. Yeah, I like the Wedding Man, the Weatherman a lot. I haven't seen it in a really long time.
I haven't either.
Yeah, I may have only seen it at the theater. I think I saw it twice at the theater, maybe. But it's been a really long time. But I remember it's kind of weird because for a movie that I haven't seen in probably 15 years, it sticks in your mind. I remember a lot more about it than some of the movies I saw a couple years ago, probably. So, yeah, I'm a big Nicolas Cage fan. I don't understand it when people say they don't like Nicolas Cage or they think he's untalented or something. But like Nicolas Cage is a truly unique person.
I can understand people not liking Nicolas Cage, but I can understand people not liking anybody for various reasons. I don't know. His persona comes across as somebody that they could be acquired, I think. And he's kind of he's really quirky. And so if you're not into that style, I could see with someone not liking that. I don't understand anybody that would say that he's not a good actor, because he is a good actor. He's been in some really, really good roles, and he can act. He's a really good actor. But I can see people not necessarily loving him. So yeah, but I'll leave it at that. So
okay, well, I can't. No,
it's unforgivable.
You don't acquire taste, but I think you're missing something if you haven't acquired it. That's what I mean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, he brings something really special to the table. I think that doesn't mean he's always in good things. He
definitely makes some crap movies as well, but he makes a lot of really good ones. I can definitely go to my shelf and there's probably at least I don't know, 10, 20 Nicolas Cage films. You know what I mean? So
yeah, he definitely is like a paycheck actor in some ways. But he still does like the he seems like he does like 10 movies a year,
Right.
but usually one of them at least is pretty good.
Yeah.
I
mean, you can make. I mean, my favorite actor is Samuel Jackson. You can argue he's a paycheck director or actor as well. You know what I mean? Because he's in tons of stuff every year. Also, some good, some bad. I think that Samuel Jackson probably makes better choices of his films overall, but he's in a lot. I see movies all the time at like Redbox. I'm like, what the heck is this? You know what I mean? I never even heard of this film, and it's like some little indie small movie.
It seems like Nicolas Cage will do anything you ask him to.
Yeah. If you're paying, he's who's buying? I'm in. Seriously.
But anyway, I remember liking The Weatherman a lot. I remember thinking it was really funny, but I haven't seen it in a long time. So, but. Cool. Yeah, good choice.
Cool. Number two
is one that I've been telling you for 15 years that you needed to watch again because you're wrong about it. Well, I've said it more nicely than that, but I think you should watch this movie again because it's so good and it's a Kier kind of movie, and that is The Proposition. So Kier loves violent movies. He loves Westerns. This is an extremely violent Western.
Check, but it's garbage.
No, it's not. The only possible thing you could have against it is that it's Australian, and it is kind of hard to understand what they're saying a lot of the time, to be honest. But this is a really great movie. It's so good. It is an Australian Western. It reminds me of Apocalypse Now in a lot of ways because it's kind of Guy Pearce plays this guy who is basically hired to hunt down his brother who has gone insane, turned into like a psychopath. And basically the movie is his journey to get to his brother to take him out, basically. So it's just a great movie. It's got a score by Nick Cave, who is one of my favorite artists. And, Guy Pearce is great in it, as always. Who else is in this? Oh, yeah. Danny Houston plays his brother. It's a great movie. And Kier didn't like it when I took him to it. It was one of those where I was like, this is a slam dunk. This is a slam dunk. And then you didn't like it. But I don't know. I think you should give it another spin one of these days. It's really good.
Who knows, man? Maybe I will. Maybe we'll do a rewatch show or something like that, where we assign films that we both didn't like, and then we make them because we think that we should like this film. We'll make each other rewatch it or something. So down the road.
I think that's a good idea. Like I could do 100 shows on that with you.
But I'm gonna get to pick which ones I want to rewatch.
There's so many great movies that you don't like.
Whatever. Moving on to my number two. Yeah, I don't remember specifically what I didn't like about that one. And did we see that with someone else, with Adam or somebody? I don't remember.
Yeah, we were with Adam. Son of the Crest.
Yeah, okay. I remember both of us didn't care for it. You loved it, but both of us came away like, what were you thinking? That's all I remember about it. So I can't remember exactly what I didn't like about it, which of course would lead him to say, well, that's why you should rewatch it. But I just don't remember not liking it. So
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, so right. I didn't mean to say you're wrong. You were wrong, but you're wrong.
Moving on to my number two, which is going to be A History of Violence.
Another violent movie.
Yeah, well, if it was I don't know what it was about 2005, man, but it was some violence going down, baby. There was some violence going down that year. History of Violence. Movies. Yeah. This one is one of my favorite. It's like a Jason Bourne, but like R-rated and super violent. You know what I mean? Basically. It stars Viggo Mortensen. He is basically he's living in a small town and basically working at like a diner. And there's two guys that come into a diner and basically try to rob it, and he basically takes them out. And he does it so well that everybody's kind of wondering like, wow, where did he get that kind of gusto from? He didn't seem like he had that in him. And then it turns out that, there's supposedly some people from, back east or something of that nature that believe that he is somebody else. and that he's been on the run all these years, and he was working like as a mobster for like this big time crime organization. And so there's people that come to town basically looking for him, thinking that he's that guy, and he's saying, no, I'm not that guy. And that's basically kind of where the story goes from there. So I don't want to go too much into spoilers or tell you kind of what the whole film's about. The only thing I want to tell you is that it is a very violent film, and it's got some of the most like just craziest graphic death scenes I've ever seen. Just coffee being burned on faces and faces being like smashed in, and just it's a very, very violent film, and I love it. You know what I mean? So, of course. Yeah. And that's why it's number 2 for me, because I like that stuff.
Yeah,
I like violence. You know what I mean? That's my jam. And so I don't know. I just love this film. Like I said, it's one of my favorite films of all time. I pull it out all the time. I probably watch it not every year, at least once every other year. And it's just like I said, just a really, really fun, great film. Definitely one I highly recommend. A History of Violence.
Yeah, I love that movie. It just barely missed my top 10. So it's going to be in the runner-ups for sure. But yeah, I love that movie. I'm a big David Cronenberg fan. So it definitely could have been even more gory knowing his films. But it's definitely a David Cronenberg film for sure. Yeah, it's great. You know, it's got that staircase scene that everybody remembers too, you know.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I didn't see that coming. But yeah, it's a really cool movie. Really very adult movie also.
Yes,
for sure.
Yes, yeah. Definitely adult. And also for kids. You know, also for kids.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For kids who are, for kids who are, 35.
Yeah, no, it's a very, very adult film. Number 1, sir. Your number 1 film of 2005. What's it going to be?
Number 1 is yet another extremely violent movie, and yet another one that I think deserves another appeal in the court of Kier. And
wow,
that is
extremely violent film that I didn't like, huh?
Right, and another one that I think you probably should, and that is The Devil's Rejects. So I'm a big Rob Zombie fan. I make no apologies for that. I've liked every movie he's made. Different degrees, of course, but I'm a fan of his work. I think in a lot of ways he does the same thing as Quentin Tarantino, which is project to the world, these are the kinds of movies I love. And he takes all these influences and he blends them together and he makes a movie that shouts like, these are the movies I love. And I think his movies of choice are different than Quentin Tarantino's, but he does the same thing and he does it almost as well, I think. So I've liked all of his movies, but I think this is definitely his masterpiece. I think this is the one movie that does everything well. It's a sequel, sort of, to House of a Thousand Corpses, because the characters on the front cover here are the same characters in House of a Thousand Corpses, but it's a completely different kind of movie. Whereas House of a Thousand Corpses was kind of I will admit most of his movies could be characterized as a Chainsaw Massacre ripoff. I get that, but and House of 1,000 Corpses is definitely a Texas Chainsaw Massacre ripoff. It's a good one, but this movie is more like kind of an outlaw western, just grindhouse epic, and I just love everything about it. It's funny, it's disturbing, it's action packed. It's got all these cool B-movie stars in it. It's really edited well. It's got all these cool transitions. It's just a fun movie to watch, even though it really is dark and disturbing too at the same time. And it's just one of my favorite movies. I would not have expected it to be my number 1. I mean, I knew for sure it'd be in the top 10, but I just kept, saying like, yeah, I like it more than that one. Yeah, I like it more than that one. And before I knew it, it's my number 1 movie of 2005. So I think it's great. It's awesome. My number 1 for 2005 is The Devil's Rejects.
Cool. Yeah, I just remember it being. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. This one I remember more than the Proposition. What I remember about this one a little bit more was that it just felt really mean spirited. It just didn't. I didn't think it was fun. It just felt really like just violence and terror for like like no reason, no motive for it. It just wasn't fun to me. So I don't know. Like I like violence, like anyone else does, but this one for some reason it just didn't feel fun at all to me. I don't know. I just didn't get that general. It just felt really mean spirited, is what I felt. So I mean, because they're not just outlaws. They're just terrible people. You know what I mean? They're just terrible people. They don't have any really big redeeming qualities. And I'm not saying that I've never watched any films where the characters don't necessarily have the most redeeming qualities. You could argue Dust Till Dawn that the two leads don't have the most, but I would say that Quentin Tarantino's character in that film didn't. But I would say that George Clooney's character, he just did what he had to do in order to get by. These guys they're just killing people just for sport. And I don't know, and it just felt really just sinister and mean spirited to me. So I think that's the difference between the kinds of action films that I like and that one. And I've never been a big Rob Zombie fan in general. I feel like he just makes the same film kind of over and over again. Just I don't know, just mean spirited to be mean spirited is what I feel like about most of his films. They're just not that fun. I did enjoy the first Halloween remake. I didn't care for the second one so much. I did enjoy that one, but all the other films that you've shown me, I don't know. I just felt they were just like I said, just really mean spirited and just not fun for me. So that was my take on them.
Hey man, if you can't handle it, that's okay.
I can handle it, but I don't know. Just give me a glimmer of fun somewhere. So lighten up a bit. Everything doesn't have to be so.
Well, it's a big shootout at a whorehouse. That's pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That was just my take on it. But so yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I'll watch it in 20 years and definitely not put him number one in my top 10. But I can definitely tell you that I'd be more willing to watch The Proposition again over that one, because that one I have a better memory of, and I remember what I didn't like about that one specifically. So I could easily put my finger on it. So all right, my number one is going to be Thank You for Smoking. So I've always loved that film.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. So do I. I just didn't think of number one. Wow. Cool.
Yeah. No, I love it. I just think it's a great comedy. Thank You for Smoking. Basically stars Aaron Eckhart. There's a lot of people in this one as well. Maria Bello, Adam Brody, Sam Elliott, Katie Holmes, Rob Lowe, William H. Macy. Robert Duvall. There's tons and tons of people in this film also. It's got an all-star cast. Basically, Aaron Eckhart is basically a lobbyist for a tobacco company. And he's really, really good at his job. He can go and he can argue anything. It's a comedy, but it's like, people that obviously aren't into smoking are kind of against him. And so he's always like kind of having a lobby for people's right to smoke and that kind of stuff. And it's what makes it so good is he's so good at it. He just like irritates people because he's so good at making good arguments about smoking. And I'm not a cigarette smoker by any means, but his arguments are so good. And it's just really, really funny. There's a lot of different twists and turns that happen between him and different characters in the film. And then he has like this this group that he eats lunch with. I think they call themselves like the Merchants of Death or something like that. So he eats lunch with like gun like NRA spokespersons and stuff like that. And so it's just really funny that he has lunch with these people that are like really into that are lobbyists for like these companies that everybody else would probably, or a lot of people would be against. So I just love it. I think it's a great comedy. I think it's a lot of fun, and definitely one that I've always enjoyed. Number one for me is Thank You for Smoking.
Cool. Yeah, I like that movie a lot. I haven't seen it in a really long time. But I don't own it or anything like that, but I do remember liking it a lot. Yeah. So yeah, fun movie. And it's kind of crazy. Like, smoking was already, I don't know if, it's been a long time since smoking has been popular at all. Yeah. But back then, like 15 years ago, it was even way more prevalent than it is now.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's a good thing that it seems almost weird that you could make that movie back 15 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree 100%. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, that is our top 10 roundup. And then I will just run through my honorable mentions real quick.
Yep.
Number 15 for me, which is already on your list, was The Descent. Number 14 for me was Match Point. Woody Allen. Always enjoy that one.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
13 was The Squid and the Whale.
Oh yeah.
Another really, really good one. 12 for me was Batman Begins. And number 11 was Wedding Crashers. So comedy.
Oh,
And that
cool.
is my roundup.
Yeah. Okay, my runner-ups, I'll just run through real quick. And a couple I forgot about, apparently. History of Violence. Great. We already talked about it. Squid and the Whale. Another really good, quirky kind of family drama. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I think this is a really cool movie. Another one that I think Kier should be a big fan of because it's yeah, this is like the year of like Kier
The Kier needs to rewatch this one.
Yes, yes. It's Shane Black who wrote the screenplay for Die Hard and Predator and The Nice Guys a few years after this. So it's just it's a really good film noir murder mystery, off kilter Christmas movie. It's a lot of good reasons. But one of my favorite Robert Downey Jr. performances too. Land of the Dead. George Romero got to go back to his the kind of movies that made him famous. It's not as good as Night, Dawn, and Day, I don't think, but it's a lot of fun. Wolf Creek, yet another super violent movie in 2005. It's a really good Australian, it was a big year for violent Australian movies too. A lot of people, say that no movie has ever really captured like the raw terror of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think this movie comes pretty close. If you're a horror fan, definitely check it out. If you're like a casual horror fan or you like just funny horror movies, don't watch this one because it's pretty grim. Sin City, which you already talked about, just a phenomenal looking film. Another super violent movie, Hostel. What is it about 2005? Just like pain and misery and blood everywhere. Hostel, I think the first one is a really, really solid movie. And then Serenity. Even if you haven't watched the show Firefly, this is just a really good science fiction action movie. So, and then apparently I forgot about Batman Begins and Match Point, which would definitely be in the runner-ups for me too. So yeah, pretty strong year, especially if you like, a lot of blood and guts.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's wrap it up with our challenge films for 2006. What was your challenge film for me?
For you, I'm going to make you watch a movie that you've probably never heard of, but I think you'll have fun with. It's called Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. So, yeah, it's a fun movie. It's kind of a satirical horror film. It's available on Amazon Prime. For free.
Cool. I don't have to pay for it, which is awesome. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Behind the Mask. I will check that out. This year I kind of struggled finding a whole lot that you hadn't seen that I had seen. So fortunately you're going with Gridiron Gang, man. It was the only one that I could find that I really liked that was on your list that you hadn't seen. So
Gridiron Gang. Okay. All right.
Yeah. The Rock. It's just a football movie. So
all right, cool.
I think you'll like it. I didn't love it, but I liked it. I thought it was decent enough. So I think you'll enjoy it. So
all right, cool. I'm on it.
Well, that's our challenge film. So definitely stay tuned for that. So whenever we do our 2006 list, I'll be doing Behind the Mask, whatever the rest of that long title was, and Jason will be doing Gridiron Gang. So you want to stay tuned for that. Well, we thank you guys all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. As always, if you like the channel, we ask that you leave us some comments down below. Of course, always subscribe. And then always, of course, hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of our updates as we upload about 2 to 3 times a week on average. We thank you guys all for watching. We hope you have a great day, and we'll see you guys all again real soon.